Story 1. The Man in the Attic. Imagine someone living right above you, watching your every move without you knowing. When Sarah moved into her charming but slightly run-down house, it felt like a fresh start. With creaky floors and an attic full of dust and forgotten memories, the house had character. But it also had secrets. As the first week passed, Sarah started hearing noises late at night. It began as the faint sound of footsteps above her, but it quickly escalated into heavy, deliberate pacing across the attic floor. Each night, right around 3 a.m., the thumping would start, a steady rhythm that made her skin crawl. At first, she dismissed it as the house settling, a common sound in older homes. But then the footsteps morphed into something more sinister, a dragging sound, as if something heavy was being pulled across the floor. Determined to confront whatever was up there, Sarah decided to stay awake one night, clutching her phone with the flashlight on. As the clock struck 3 a.m., the familiar thumping began. Heart racing, she crept up the narrow staircase to the attic. With each step, the air grew colder, thick with an unshakable sense of dread. When she reached the attic door, she hesitated, feeling a wave of panic. With a deep breath, she pushed it open. The attic was shrouded in darkness, dust motes swirling in the beam of her flashlight. But as she scanned the room, something caught her eye. A makeshift sleeping area in the corner, with a mattress that looked old and stained. Surrounding it were empty food wrappers and old bottles. But what truly terrified her was the mirror, an antique piece leaning against the wall, facing the stairs. It was angled in such a way that it could reflect anyone entering the attic. The thought of someone watching her from the shadows made her stomach drop. Then, her heart stopped. In the dust covering the floor, she saw it, a series of scratch marks on the inside of the attic door, deep and desperate, as if someone had been trying to claw their way out. And beneath those marks, a single word, scrawled in a shaky hand: "Help." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind her. She whipped around to see the attic window flung open, the night air rushing in, extinguishing her flashlight. In that suffocating darkness, she felt it, a presence creeping closer, breathing on her neck. Paralyzed by fear, she sprinted down the stairs, nearly tripping over her own feet. Once outside, she ran until she reached the neighbors, who called the police. But when the officers searched the attic, they found nothing. No signs of intrusion, no evidence of anyone living there. Just the old mattress and the mirror, which was now inexplicably cracked. Weeks later, Sarah moved out, unable to shake the feeling that something was still in that house. The next tenants reported hearing the same footsteps, and many claimed to have seen a shadowy figure peering down at them from the attic. The last report came a year later. No one had ever seen the tenant again. If this story left you sleepless, subscribe for more horrifying tales you won't soon forget. Story 2. The Haunted Lake. Some things lurking under the water are better left alone. This story will make you think twice about the calmest of lakes. Chris and his friends had spent countless summers exploring the woods around their small town, but none had ever dared to swim in Shadow Lake, a hidden body of water rumored to be haunted. Tales whispered of a girl who had drowned there, her spirit trapped beneath the surface, waiting for anyone brave enough to disturb her rest. One summer night, emboldened by youthful recklessness, Chris and his friends decided to camp by the lake. The moon hung high in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the still water. The air was thick with tension, the surrounding trees casting elongated shadows that danced in the moonlight. Around midnight, fueled by dares and bravado, they made their way to the edge of the lake. Chris, the most daring of the group, stripped down and waded into the water, feeling the cold envelop him. As he swam farther from shore, he felt a sudden chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. It was a sensation that clawed at the back of his mind, an instinct screaming at him to turn back. Halfway across, he felt something brush against his leg, a slick, cold touch that sent waves of terror coursing through him. Panic surged, and he looked down, but the moonlight only illuminated the rippling water. He dismissed it as his imagination and pressed on, but that was a mistake. Suddenly, the pulling sensation returned, stronger this time. Chris kicked and thrashed, but the force dragging him down was relentless. He fought against it, but it was as if 1,000 hands were grasping at him, pulling him into the depths. The water darkened around him, and he felt something brush his neck, icy fingers gripping him tightly. Desperate, Chris broke the surface and gasped for air, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He finally reached the shore, but his friends' faces were pale, their expressions filled with horror. They rushed to him, but when they looked down, they recoiled. His legs were covered in muddy handprints, deep imprints, like something had clawed at him from below. They fled that night, leaving the campsite and the lake behind. But weeks later, the local news reported a body found near Shadow Lake, and the medical examiners noted the same handprint patterns on the victim's legs. From that day forward, no one dared to swim in the lake again. But Chris couldn't shake the feeling that something was still out there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the next unsuspecting swimmer to drag into the depths. If this story made your skin crawl, subscribe for more terrifying tales that keep you up at night. Story 3. The Forgotten Doll. What if something from your childhood never wanted you to leave? Tonight's story is about a doll that just couldn't let go. As a child, Emily had a doll given to her by her grandmother. It was an old porcelain figure with a cracked face, its piercing blue eyes unsettling in their intensity. Despite the doll's delicate beauty, it always sent shivers down Emily's spine. She kept it tucked away in her closet, hoping it would stay hidden and never resurface. Years later, Emily moved away from home, relieved to leave the doll behind in her parents' attic. Life went on, and she mostly forgot about it, until one summer evening, she returned to visit her family. As she entered her childhood bedroom, she froze. There, sitting on her bed, was the doll, its glassy eyes staring at her with an eerie familiarity. Her mother, oblivious to her unease, said she thought Emily might want it back. Emily managed a weak smile and put the doll back in the box, determined not to let her childhood fears resurface. But that night, as she tried to sleep, she felt a presence in the room. She turned on the light, only to find the doll sitting at the foot of her bed, its head tilted slightly, as if watching her. Panicking, she shoved it into the garage, sealing it inside a box, thinking she'd rid herself of its curse. But the following morning, the doll was back in her room, propped up on her nightstand, a sinister grin spreading across its face. Each night, the doll crept closer, its smile growing more grotesque. On the third night, Emily woke up to the sensation of something cold touching her face. As she opened her eyes, she screamed. The doll was perched on her chest, staring down at her with a look of twisted joy. Emily decided enough was enough. She gathered the doll, marched outside, and set it ablaze in the backyard, watching as the flames flickered and twisted. She felt a wave of relief wash over her, convinced she'd finally freed herself from its grasp. But later that evening, she received a chilling text message from an unknown number. "You can't escape me." Weeks later, as she prepared to leave town, she found a small, dusty box waiting on her doorstep. With trembling hands, she opened it, revealing the doll, untouched, perfectly intact, its porcelain skin gleaming in the sunlight, eyes glimmering with a menacing glint. Emily realized that it wasn't just a doll. It was a part of her childhood she could never truly escape. And as she stood there, frozen in fear, the doll seemed to smile wider, its presence reminding her that some things from the past never really go away. If this story left you feeling haunted, like and subscribe for more stories of the strange and terrifying.